You know, as an entrepreneur and business owner, you know the pressure of creating and growing and sustaining a thriving business. It's day-to-day attention. And while some things, are like, well, I can set and forget it while I go on vacation, nothing is really ever set it and forget it. Hey guys, I mentioned this once before that I would love to share with you some more personal, intimate episodes where it's just me sharing my experience with you. And today is one of those days. So I wanted to share with you, actually, I want to continue sharing with you things that I learn. It's also a great way to document things that I learn on a weekly basis rather than looking back at a longer period of time. Because I honestly feel that every single week there are really big things that I learn or relearn. Sometimes there's things but you are reminded of them. And that's what's been going on, and I wanna share that with you, and my goal is that it brings value to you. Of course, it's always my first goal, and that maybe it allows you to think about some things a little bit differently, and I am taking a risk with being super open and vulnerable about the things that I'm experiencing when it comes to business and ultimately personally as well, because as an entrepreneur, those two definitely um, they end up mixing with each other a lot. So today I'm going to share that with you. Um, this last week, at the time of this recording, at least, some really hard things happened in business. There were a bunch of glitches in our CRM and our marketing, which caused our normal lead flow to decline quickly in a short period of time. And so I think a lot of businesses, especially who do a lot of ad spend via social media, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google, all of that, notice, things are constantly changing and shifting. And so when something goes wrong with your things that are connecting with CRM and people getting notified, hey, you've got, people that want your service, but you're not getting it, things like that. It's like, ah. So my first reaction was, and keep in mind, the word I'm using when I say reaction, the first reaction was to panic. And I say reaction because that is what I did. I reacted instead of responding. I allowed panic to set in, all of the feelings of despair and things like my team is going to get mad at me, or my team thinks I'm letting them down, or they think it's my fault. They think I don't know what I'm doing. They don't trust I have the right people in charge. Why wasn't I firm enough on QA? And why didn't we review this before this ad went out? Things like that. And it's just like all the negative thoughts, right? Like my fault, my fault, my fault, my fault. And those thoughts, which were actually all of those that I just said, assumptions on my part, not one person on my team said anything like that to me. But in my mind, all of those thoughts led to, I'm a big fat failure. And who do I think I am managing all of this? And obviously there's something big that I'm not seeing, and I suck at business, and all these people are going to be mad at me and hate me. And it was like, whoa, I hadn't done that in such a long time. Like, one thing going wrong and feeling it so hard and having all of these negative thoughts. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're running a business, you know these thoughts. I know that if you're listening to this, you know these thoughts. You've been there before, and maybe it's been a long time that you've been there, or maybe you just had it happen today, this morning. And maybe you haven't experienced it yet, or maybe you are just so incredibly in control and have such a high emotional IQ that has not happened to you, which kudos, awesome. Come be on the show and tell us how you do it. But the reality is even with tools and things that I'm equipped with, those moments do happen when something feels like it's gone terribly wrong. And as an entrepreneur and business owner, you know the pressure of creating and growing and sustaining a thriving business. It's day to day attention. And while some things, are like, well, I can set and forget it while I go on vacation, nothing is really ever set it and forget it. So, you know that there's the pressure of enlisting the right team members. You know the pressure of keeping your team happy. You know the challenge of trying to be awesome every single day when it comes to team culture, morale, being fair, being a leader, being firm, and still being nice and building and maintaining trust and keeping up with everything, really. Marketing, cash flow, processes, and on and on. You know all of these things. And I think I've said this before where as an entrepreneur, there are things that you have people in charge of and you want to trust them and you want people to take the reins and lead that. And it's awesome. And that's what you need to do so that you can focus on the parts that you're really good at. But you still, especially if you are the CEO of your company, you've got to overlook and make sure that you're always checking in and seeing that these things are in the right place and that they're working properly. These things need your attention. And when one thing goes wrong, for me, it's so easy to go down the rabbit hole and see the wrong in everything and blame yourself for it. And the thing is that I do know that being the owner of a company, if things did go wrong, even if it isn't directly the one thing that I did, still ultimately I am the one responsible. And knowing that is what can bring you down the rabbit hole. But here's the really cool thing is it's also the thing that takes me right out. Taking that responsibility and knowing, okay, this was my fault. I will take responsibility can send you down. And it also just pulls you right back out because you also realize, okay, but I'm ultimately in control. I know that these are the things I need to do to fix it and change it. And hence the lesson for this week. Um, there will be awesome days. There are lots of awesome days, and there are lots of hard days. And at times, there will be way more bad days than good, and vice versa. It's part of the game. And if you want to play, you have to accept that. You can't go all in on something big and then expect the road to be perfectly smooth. To go big means to take risks. You really start to learn what your capabilities are and just how coachable you are when you take those risks and deal with what goes wrong. It's so true. And I actually love that and I love to learn as much as it's like so painful when things don't go the way you want them to. I also love it because I've learned what comes out of that. And I totally had myself a breakdown. It was short-lived, but it was a breakdown nonetheless. And I let myself feel it. And I let the voice in my head that talked right back to me with the negative statements, I listened to it, but I wasn't falling for it as much as they tried to win because in the end they did not win. It was a short-lived battle with those thoughts and soon the cloud lifted and I knew what to do. I knew how to get myself out of it. I knew who I could talk to. I knew that I was still the one who needed to respond creatively instead of just react and respond creatively to what was happening. Ask the right questions instead of why is this happening to me? Why do I suck? Really ask the right questions so that I could solve the actual problem at hand. And that's when things became fun because I actually really love solving problems. And like once that mind shift changed, the endorphins came rushing back. All of the things that I love about being an entrepreneur and running a business and getting creative about, okay, well, now we can fix this and make it even better. The thing is if you're an entrepreneur, you probably do love to solve problems just as much. It's probably how you started your business. There was a big, huge problem, and you were like, hey, I've got something that can solve this for a bunch of people. And that's what this was. It was another problem to solve, another challenge in the game of entrepreneurship. Did it set me back? Yes. But sometimes the setback actually leads to the knowledge of how to take a big step forward. And I'm sharing this with you because I'd like you to think of that the next time something really, really hard shows up for you. Yes, for you. Look at it that way, please, because I've really seen that the breakdown can actually be a breakthrough for you. And I know that if you're listening to this and this has happened to you, when it happens, if it happens, maybe again, it just happened. If you're going through it right now, you know not to give up. Because I know that if you did, you would hate yourself for it because it's not what you're made of. It's not why you're in this game. And you have a reason for doing what you do. So give yourself a pout fest if you need to, and then pull up your pants, look in the mirror, remind yourself that you the man, you the woman, you so got this. Look at how far you have come. Like look back at all of the other mistakes that you have made. There's no doubt that you have made mistakes. And you know damn well that you're where you're at now because of those mistakes. I know you know this. I know you know this. You hated that lesson. You hated it when you made that mistake so hard. Like you really hated it. You hated it so hard that you had to do something different so that it wouldn't happen again. That is the beautiful thing about mistakes and failures and things going wrong. You hate it so hard that you have to do something different so it won't happen again. If it was just a oops, let's try it again the same old way and the same mistake happens, you didn't hate it hard enough. You didn't really hate that mistake. So I'm hoping this episode serves as something that you will save and come back to because you never know when you might need to hear it again. You are human. You're actually superhuman doing all the things that you do. You have so much awesomeness swimming inside of you, which means that you're going to keep daring to do bigger things. And always, my friend, always those big things lead to more challenges. And your human side will want so bad to react with emotion, to just react with the panic, the anger, that, oh my gosh, everything is ending and I suck. Of course, that's what you want to react with. But you are smarter than that. And you might have that brief moment, and that's fine. Have that brief little moment. But then remember again, the same thing bringing you down into that rabbit hole is the same thing that can bring you right back out. So acknowledge it, acknowledge what went wrong, and then remember that you have the control and the power to feel a different way. You have that same power that brought you down the hole is the same power that can bring you right back. You get to control that. You control that. You get to feel a different way. You get to respond in a better way because you love to solve problems. I hope that that speaks to you. I hope that means something. It meant something to me going through this. It was such a fabulous reminder. I hated this mistake so hard. I really did. I really, really hated it so hard. And then it was like this immediate shift after the hate talk went on of, no, screw this. This is changing right now. And we shifted and we changed. And I enrolled the right people because I do have an awesome team. And we problem solved. And we're going to keep doing that because things are always shifting and changing. In this world today with technology, oh my gosh, the same way is never going to keep working over and over and over again. Things will constantly be evolving. And it's more challenges for us, yes, but it's also such great reward. Thank you so much for listening to this. Remember, from the breakdown comes the breakthrough. From the setback, you can actually take a huge step forward and hate that mistake so hard that it forces you to do something different and make a different choice that makes things better. Solve those problems. You are awesome. You're in this game for a reason. Remember that. And thank you for listening. And I look forward to sharing more of the lessons I learned along this entrepreneurial journey with you.